A JavaScript promise is an object that is waiting for a future value. And promises have three states. They can be pending, they can either be fulfilled, which means that they've been resolved, or they can fail, which means they have been rejected. The function on the screen is designed to read a message from a file. And what I'm going to do is refactor this code and transform this into using a promise object. I'm going to start off by separating this read file method away from here. Then I'm going to convert this text message to an arrow function that accepts the parameter called file name. Now, inside of this function, I'm going to create a promise. And in order to do that, I need to instantiate it using the new keyword, then promise. And this promise is going to accept two parameters, resolve and reject. Now, when the promise first starts, it's in the pending state. And it's either going to be fulfilled or it's going to fail. When it's fulfilled, we're going to resolve it. And if it fails, we're going to reject it. Now I'm going to go below and I'm going to cut this function and paste it back in here inside of the promise object. Now that this function is in here, I'm going to replace the relative fav of the file in the read file method with the file name parameter. Now I have this existing if statement that is supposed to check for an error. With promises, if there's a failure, it is denoted by an error. And when an error happens, you're going to reject it. So I'm going to replace this console log with reject. Right below the reject function, I'm going to add an empty return statement. And by doing this, this terminates the current function and prevents it from going any further. Now that we've covered the error and the reject function, I need to make sure that if the promise is fulfilled, that I resolve it. So where I have my console log data, I'm going to replace that console log with resolve. Now I'm going to scroll down below and I need to call this function and make sure everything still works. I'm going to call the text message function and pass in an argument of the file name. Since this is a promise, if it resolves, I then need to do something with that data. So I'm going to chain a then statement, pass an argument of data, and I'm going to console log it. And for some reason, if the promise fails, it's going to get rejected and it's going to pass through an error. And in order for me to find out what that error is, I need to catch it. So I'm going to chain the catch function and I'm going to pass in an argument of error and I'm going to console log the error. Now that this is done, I need to run this file and see if it works. So down in the terminal, I'm going to type node index.js. And there is the message in the console. It works. Thanks for watching and happy coding.